Hello everyone, this is Zeeebo and welcome to this AFK journey video. So I think you guys might have seen a lot of replays as well as sharing about Faramor so far by either other content creators like Puzzle, like other VN content creators as well as VM players. And in today's video, instead of just talking about Faramor strengths, right? Instead of talking about the game modes that he's good for and his amazing damage dealer, etc., I'm going to break down his kit and explain why his kit is so matching for this season, right? Why he appears to be so good and what he's good for, and let you guys filter whether or not you want to go for him based on the different pointers presented in today's video. So first of all, Faramor is obviously an insanely good damage dealer because he has the very powerful line, which is dealing true damage as well as the ability to deal true damage plus extra true damage equals to a percentage of the enemy's lost HP, right? And this true damage is every 0.5 seconds and not every second, it's every 0.5 seconds. So every second, that's a 70% true damage at base level and further increase to 55%. So that's pretty big. On top of that, you know, like the initial burst of damage he deals from the Sanctified Circle right here. So this is insanely powerful. And on top of that, when the enemies are within the circle, right, they cannot heal. So if you are facing against enemies with a lot of sustain, enemies with the ability to heal up, that's where you are able to negate that and then you bring them down from there. So that's really valuable from the utility perspective. And last but not least, his ability right here only disappears if the enemy do not remain in the circle or if he doesn't have the energy to maintain it. So first of all, if you are playing against all the bosses or if you are playing against most challenge stages, a lot of the enemies, they are relatively immobile. They stay on the original spot that they spawn at. So you will be able to cast a circle and then this circle will stay on the spot. So this second line usually doesn't apply to most bosses. I think so far, the only few bosses that have really high mobilities would be, I'll say Crystal Beetle, right? Crystal Beetle as well as Lone Gaze in this season. Maybe Sesahara if Sesahara does come into the Dream Realm side. So far only those few, but even if the enemies exit the circle, if he has the energy and the cooldown of this skill is up, he's able to throw the circle out again and then deal damage and then continue the HP burn. So very minor stuff. And then for the consumption of 120 energy per second to maintain the circle, first of all, right, you get energy from dealing damage. So if you hit a lot of enemies, you'll regen energy a little bit faster. If you hit the enemies faster, you're also able to generate energy faster as well. And on top of that, if the enemies hit you, if you're standing on the front line because he's a frontline character, you will be able to gain energy as well. So you will be able to gain energy from yourself taking damage, dealing damage. You're also able to gain energy from the charm set ability right here, which is just 40 energy per second, which is 1/3 of the maintenance cost. So this skill allows him to get to his ultimate faster, boost his ultimate damage if you have a total of 900 energy restored through the effect, and also allow him to maintain the uptime on the ultimate. So we combine all that together, his ultimate is just a super powerful nuke over time, allowing him to display all the massive damage numbers from all the different bossing runs as well as all the different gameplay showcase so far. So another thing that makes his numbers super duper huge or inflated in a sense is because for the Bitter Recurrent right here, right, if you take a look at this skill, other than replacing his normal attack with the Glorious and Blaze, while his magic circle is active, the shield value gain also gives him additional shielding, which is capped at 600% of his attack, right? And allies within the circle deals extra true damage equals to 75% of their attack, and this skill triggers every 1 second. So yeah, this additional attack, they are very powerful because they're true damage and they're sort of translated onto Faramor's total damage output. So this is partially one of the reasons why Faramor is showing damage that exceeds the likes of Hara, Fresto, as well as all the really powerful carries so far, because of all this additional true damage from the allies that are able to benefit from the circle itself. So this is for the high damage output combination between his own skill as well as the additional damage source from the other allies. So on top of that, he also has the ability to get additional buffs expand the circle's radius to cover more AoE for more allies to benefit from it, and also has the ability to do true damage from his Glorious Embrace, which turns into his normal attack when he casts the skill with his EX weapon. Last but not least, also buffing himself, as well as one more ally with the Sacred Pledge. So yeah, like the combination of all these different like kits or mechanism together just makes him a really complete package in terms of the damage dealing side, while giving him the additional utility to remove the heals from the enemies within the Sanctified Circle, as well as the ability to buff himself as well as the allies, and also debuffing the enemy with the Supreme Plus skill right here. So yeah, very well-rounded character all around. Probably will be pretty meta for all the Dream Realm bosses so far. So later on I'll showcase the Dream Realm side to let you guys see the damage output of this unit in today's boss. But for this unit, I've been running him with this comp right here for my AFK stages, right? So this is basically your Iron comps. So usually it will be Iron Tasi with maybe your Parisa, for example. But with Faramor's addition, Iron and Armors now can deal those additional true damage to the enemies because they will be within the Sanctified Circle. So you can use Iron Armors for the additional control. You can use Twins for the buffs. You can use Bonnie to get the buff from Faramor while also dealing additional damage and debuff. So I was able to push like I think 70 over stages with this team on auto, and it's just incredible. Like I think this team is really very strong with that Tasi Parisa combo already, but for me I don't have Tasi built up, right? So without Tasi, I'll be lacking a little bit on the damage side as well as the control side. So right now in this setup, because Faramor's able to buff himself up, he's also able to buff the allies up within the circle itself. He's able to synergize with Faramor right here and be the damage dealer. So I can give my controls job to Almas as well as Iron to actually be that control for the team, and this is the team that I'm pushing in terms of the AFK stage side for most of my talent stages so far. So you can see the damage distribution, right? Bonnie is one of the strongest AFK stage unit, and Faramor does pretty much the same amount on some stages, even more on some stages, and also really close to her in most of the other stages so far. Earlier today we did a swap ticket from Valka to our Faramor today. Really impressive stuff there as well. So I think for bosses where he is able to utilize most of his kit, he's gonna be top tier. He's gonna be very much used in, I'll say, like all of them right now. Most, maybe except for Talassa and Crystal Beetle. But yeah, Crystal Beetle has energy regen as well, which means that his ultimate is basically permanent. So I can see Faramor, which is technically a wolf, replacing Shakir, which is another wolf. To be really honest, I think Faramor could be easily replacing Shakir because he can do what Shakir do, which is buffing the team by giving them true damage instead of the haste. But more importantly, he does so much more damage compared to Shakir. So that's that for the bossing side. So definitely really good there so far. For the PvP side, okay, one thing about Faramor is with regards to Faramor's buffing, we're gonna run through like one replay and then talk about it. So for both Supreme Arena and normal arena and Clash runs, I think Faramor's usable, but you have to sort of keep him alive, right? So you have to be able to form a team that utilizes his strengths while giving him the sustain, cause he's not exactly that tanky even with the shielding. And if Faramor were to fall in battle, then the attack buff that he has with the third skill to the ally will disappear, and he's not able to sustain the Sanctified Circle, which is a very important damage source. So this unit is good for bossing because in most bossing contents or in most like PvE damage related contents, you will be able to keep your units alive. So survival is not a problem, but for your PvP side where you have a lot of bursts like Atalia, Siren, Tasi, Bonnie, I think he's not the most impressive. So that's that. And for matchups where it could be as slow as him coming online, which is casting his ultimate, there could be better steamroll units like the likes of Harak, like the likes of for example Atalia that also steamrolls as well, like the likes of for example Cryonaya, right? So in terms of wilder side, you already have Lilimir, which is also quite a good steamroll character for the PvP side while having insane survival. So in terms of Faramor's position in the game right now. I think he's generally a more PvE centric character that I'll say in most cases does a lot, right? If you're able to survive. For the PvP side, definitely feasible, but for the steamrolly type of PvP characters, you have other better options. And then if you want to fight him against all the burst heavy comp, he might not be able to survive that well. So PvP is going to be a little bit challenging, but nonetheless, we will still be trying out like different combis with him to see whether or not we can come up with ideal, optimal, workable comp for Faramor in the next few days. So that's with regards to Faramor's performance. So right here, even though he died, right, he's still able to do so much damage. So the issue is 1, survival, 2, having better steamroll character for the PvP side compared to him. So that's for the PvP evaluation. So for the Clash Run side, I think with regards to his performance, it's hard to say because Clash Runs has random team matchings. But based on the current meta Clash Run team so far, I think this game mode might be a game mode that Faramor can perform in. Like, because there are a few matchups where I think Faramor might come in handy to sort of fight the long game in the current meta right now. Maybe except for the Bonitasi burst comp. Most of the meta teams that are a little bit slower, Faramor might be able to outpace them. So Clash Runs, definitely I think I can see some use for him. So generally speaking, I think Faramor is quite a usable character across all the different game modes, and probably the most meta character so far with regards to his performance on the first few days of release. So I would say there is no rush to him. But if you're already contented with what you guys are seeing with regards to his performance across all the different sources, then definitely commit to him, right? But if you're saving for the Fairy Tail collab, if you are limited on resources, or you are just not that sensitive to all the stuff that I mentioned earlier, then he is still a character that you can keep in view first. So that's pretty much it for today's PSA video. Thank you very much for tuning in, and I'll see you guys again in my next video. Bye guys.